Welcome to the Lounge with Travefy Academy, where we get to hear from travel industry voices and experts to learn more about their story and what they see on the horizon for travel professionals. I'm Stephanie Grice, and our guest is Marco Fernandes, owner and senior vice president of Sagres Vacations, an international tour operator and destination expert for Portugal and Spain. So, welcome to the Lounge, Marco. We're so excited to have you here today.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's great to be here and look forward to an exciting conversation.
Yes, it's going to be so great. And we're so excited to hear more just about what it's like to travel in Spain and Portugal right now, but also, what travel advisors can expect when booking travel for their clients there. So we're going to cover all those topics, which is really exciting. But before we dive into that, can you just first share a little bit more about yourself and just how Sagres Vacation started?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. So Sagres Vacations started basically with the idea of creating a personalized trip for all of our travel agent partners and their customers. So the name Sagres, which besides being a great beer in Portugal, which I highly recommend, is also a city in the southern area of Portugal, in the Algarve area, where Prince Henry the Navigator left from, and there is a navigation school there as well. So Sagres has actually a very navigation meaning to us, and it was in the 15th, 16th century where half the world was actually divided between Spanish-owned territories, thus Latin America and some of South America, and Portuguese territories, including parts of India, including parts of Africa. So, and a lot of those discoverers, a lot of those explorers left from the city called Sagres, and that's where Sagres Vacations came about. So instead of the Portuguese and the Spanish explorers discovering the world, it's now the world discovering Portugal and Spain with our help.
Oh, I love that. That's really cool. What a cool name and story behind that.
Yeah, so there's a story behind it. And that's kind of the emphasis, is what we like on every one of our itineraries is we like the storytelling aspect of the itineraries of a vacation. We think that goes a long way versus just seeing things, taking pictures. But when you can relate, when you can actually learn about history and interact with it, and physically be able to ask questions and come back with a story that you can yourself share with colleagues, family, and friends, it just adds so much more value to it.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And so right now, because now I just want to go there. What is it currently like? What's tourism like in Portugal and Spain right now?
Yeah, so most of Europe is similar. There are obviously pockets of areas in both countries that have a higher ratio of COVID infections versus others. The main thing is that they're both open for tourism. We ourselves had customers, travel agent customers, on site in both Portugal and Spain this week, and we have more arriving next week. And they all have experienced the destination just like we planned it out, like we designed it. Obviously, there's a bit of flexibility we provide on the itinerary to be able to counter some unexpected, closures, because maybe that museum is closed for whatever reason. But both countries are open, and I think because we have a presence on the ground, having an office in Portugal, and our staff on the ground in both countries, we can adapt to those conditions. And the best thing is, we always say, is communication, and over communication in this case is helpful, because things constantly change, right? So for us, is very important to keep updated. Every morning we have a sit-down meeting, virtual meeting with our office, with our teams on the ground, understanding what's happening, if there's anything changing, and then we communicate that to all of the customers on tour.
Awesome. That's really great. And is there anything too that travel advisors or just travelers need to be aware of before they plan their trip there, before they get there? I mean, you mentioned flexibility, and that's just a thing that definitely is going to come with this time right now. But is there anything else that just to be aware of?
Well, of course, being updated is key today, right? And again, asking people on the ground like ourselves, our team, that can let those agents know what their clients will expect when on arrival. One of the key things. So in the last 16 months, as many of us have adapted the way we work, have evolved in many ways because we had to, right? And we have to adapt to this new normal, whatever that will be in the next 6 months. But one of the things we've designed is actually a better network of communications within our team, to the point now where, as we know, coming back to the US, we have to take a COVID test, an antigen COVID test, right, from most places in Europe. We now have access to actually nurses that will go out to the hotel where the clients are staying to be able to take those tests. And that's included in every one of our private itineraries. So I'm saying this because that's really critical for those agents that really want to make sure that clients are taken care of. Don't leave anything to chance. Make sure that you are working with someone who has all of their ducks in a row as far as making sure that the clients are not left to themselves in Lisbon or Porto or Madrid to find a nurse to find a COVID test on their own. And this way, it's a very seamless process. They come to the hotel, they take the test, it's an antigen test, results come right away, they go to the airport, and it's very seamless. Again, makes it very easy of travel and peace of mind for the customer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what else are you seeing right now with traveling or travelers? Like, is there certain types of like themes that you're starting to see,
Yeah.
or can't think of the word trends. That's what I'm looking for.
Right.
Trends. Are there any trends that you're starting to see that people are
We
coming
are.
for?
And, Stephanie, one of the things I will step back a little bit because one of the parts of the history of Sagres Vacations evolved also with myself working at a wholesale tour company prior to starting Sagres Vacations. It's a family-owned business, number one, which is almost unheard of, starting a travel business, family-owned, where both my wife and I own the business, and having offices in 2 countries with over 25 employees. So it's been challenging times, but the idea that we started with was, having worked in a wholesale business, wholesale travel for 10 plus years, I noticed that people wanted to travel with a purpose. They wanted to travel to celebrate something, to create memories, but to create their own memories. Customers want to travel to have a wine experience, to have a cooking workshop, to have a very active experience. So the whole premise behind Sagres is that we actually will create different theme tours for each one of the travel agent customers we work with. So if those agents who are listening to us, if you have customers that are foodies and wine connoisseurs, we will create a food and wine tour throughout Portugal and Spain that is highly curated just for those customers, with their own tour guide, their own wine tastings, the hotels, the logistics, everything just catered to them. And that's been our premise for the last 10 years. So for us, as other companies around us have evolved to more of that, we've continued to do more of the same, right? We just sort of streamlined it. We've always catered to the exclusive, the authentic experiences, to more of that private itineraries that is authentic, but also gives you that sort of history, the culture, but always with that theme. So again, going back to the wine and the food, if you want a cooking workshop with a Michelin star chef, we can do that. If you want a active yoga experience, we have beautiful resorts, and we have yoga masters also that can also teach those classes. Same thing for active. We have photo tours. We did a photo tour with Pete Souza, who was a former White House photographer a few years ago. So yeah, that's our bread and butter, is really these amazing curated itineraries that are a little bit different than your sort of run-of-the-mill general tours where you sort of have a 10-day closed loop. Even for single travelers, which is something we're seeing a trend, going back to your question, people who are traveling as single travelers and they're looking to have that same experience and not be tied down to a 10-day itinerary, a 12-day itinerary. They want to have a little bit more flexibility, and there's that word. We'll create that for them. So I think, to your point, what we're seeing is people want to travel to celebrate. They want to travel to create memories. And, let's go back. The meaning of travel is to connect, right? To learn, discover yourself, to really rejuvenate. And nowadays, because of COVID, and I think this is a positive byproduct, there's not many, but a positive byproduct of COVID, is the fact we can take our families and be able to create memories, to be able to not just go on a trip, but create traditions on a trip where you can go back and show your generations where your ancestors are from, or create these amazing experiences, not only with your kids, but also your grandkids and extended family. And that's what we look for. We have family experiences as part of our portfolio that include everything from a treasure hunt around actual medieval castles to cooking workshops for kids. Because being a father, I know if my kids are not having fun on tour, your mommy and daddy not having fun either. So that's definitely something we really focus on, making sure the whole family has an amazing experience together.
Yeah, that's really cool. And have you been seeing a specific type? So you mentioned like a lot of like single and then also maybe some families, but is there a specific type of traveler that you've been seeing that's booking right now?
Yeah, I'd say, besides a single traveler, definitely families. I would say we're seeing a lot of families. Again, I think the purpose of creating those traditions and creating those memories with their extended, a lot of the families who live across the country from each other have not seen each other, right? So they're taking this opportunity to go on a 10-day Portugal itinerary, a Spain itinerary with the Azores and Madeira and Mallorca, and creating these amazing moments with their families. So family is definitely one. Also really seeing sort of these celebration type trips, being a 25th year wedding anniversary. Of course, we do destination weddings as well, but celebratory, we have New Year's programs. We have, large families that are doing retirement type of celebrations. And then just the more general ones, we talked about wine and food aficionados. We have a lot of chefs that go on these type of itineraries to learn about the cuisines in both Spain and Portugal. We also have a lot of people in wine clubs that actually travel out to the vineyards in both Spain and Portugal as well. So, looking at those niches and sort of creating the personalized experience to go along with it is really what we focus on. So it can run the gamut, right, from just a celebration from a family, single travelers, but then also for those sort of millennial generation, right, and younger, who are looking to they only have this limited amount of time, but they want more experiences. They don't want to just see Lisbon or Madrid or Seville or Porto. They want to be able to experience it. And that's really important for travel agents today to recognize that it's not just picking something out of a website or, a brochure. It's really understanding and matching those experiences to the client, right? And working with someone who can actually perform and exceed those expectations for those clients. Because if they're foodies, they're going to want those cooking workshops. They're going to want all of these amazing food experiences.
Yeah. And are you also seeing, I know that you mentioned you have a lot of bookings starting to come in, which is really amazing. So awesome. But are there certain periods of time that you're seeing most people planning their travel right now?
Well, it's funny you asked that, because traditionally our booking curve was anywhere between 8 to 14 months. So pre-COVID. Now we're seeing last minute bookings within people booking for the next 3 weeks, booking for the next 3 months, which still for us is sort of last minute, because again, all of our itineraries are highly curated. They're individualized and specific for each client. So, we're working hand in hand with all our partners. So it's a bit of a challenge, but it's a very worthwhile one, because it's sort of that pressure on ourselves, and we want to make sure that all the details are there, and we are still able to, for the most part, create those amazing experiences. So I think that people are booking closer in now, because let's face it, we've all been holed up at home and everybody wants to travel yesterday. But there is still a good number of requests coming in for April, May 2022, and then onwards the summer of next year as well. So I think you're starting to see that gap sort of shrink, right, between the close bookings all the way to the bookings that are further out.
Yeah, that's crazy that you're seeing them so close,
It
just through
is.
that's incredible, which does kind of make sense because people they want to travel, like you said, tomorrow or yesterday, but also you want to kind of get, what's kind of going on right now. So you just want to jump in and
Yeah.
travel now while you can. And yeah, and so the last question I have for you is really just for the agents and advisors listening right now. A lot of them, I mean, travel is picking up for quite a lot of people, but there still is, people are trying to find where are those destinations that are easy hotspots right now. And Spain and Portugal seems like it really easily could be. So, do you have any recommendations for how advisors can sell those destinations right now?
Yeah, definitely. So Portugal by itself was winning all kinds of awards before COVID. So it was the European Destination of the Year 3 years in a row. Spain was closely followed as well. So they're both amazing destinations. And I will say this, one thing we realize is that customers today, speaking with a lot of the travel agents on a daily basis, those customers, they want to sort of be out and about in nature. They want to be able to be outside of the city centers, be able to explore, be able to, again, bring their families and maybe stay in a villa as opposed to a downtown hotel. Because it's perception. They also don't want to be surrounded by large crowds, even as the COVID situation is evolving. So what Portugal and Spain offers is exactly that: plentiful of space, plentiful of activities outside. Weather that is very temperate throughout the whole entire year. So we have clients that are arriving in October. We have clients that are arriving in November. They're still going to expect 70-degree weather in both Spain and Portugal. So, from a hospitality standpoint, the population are very welcoming too. So it's still that very authentic feeling of old Europe, as opposed to perhaps some of the more traditional destinations like Paris and London, who are just much more commercialized, right? And not taking anything away from those, which are amazing cities. Old Europe, Portugal and Spain, Portugal has 900 years of history by itself, and in Spain closely as well. And it offers so much opportunity to look at the history, culture, but also have that niche, right? Be it the wines, be it the food, be it the Jewish heritage, be it the active. We had clients that did scuba diving in the Azores 2 weeks ago. And so again, that was a very personalized itinerary just with scuba diving in the islands in the Azores. So it offers so much. And my advice to those agents would be, just think of us as a blank canvas. Give us a call and say, I have clients and this is what they did in the past. This is what they like to do. Can you create something for us? And that's exactly what we do. We then, start always with a blank canvas and create the trip around the customer versus putting the customer around the trip.
Yeah. No, I'm ready to call you myself in a book. It sounds awesome. And such a good point though to make about with Portugal and Spain, that you really can do, it's a little more flexible and, instead of the big, cities and things. So it's just different. So I could definitely see the appeal of that
Yeah,
right
and
now.
also, the other thing too, it's very easy to connect both countries because
Hmm.
they share a border, obviously, on the eastern side of Portugal, and you can quickly be in Seville and be in the Algarve, the very next day, and be in Basque Country in one day and be in the Douro Valley in the next day in Portugal. So it would be very tough to see both countries in 10, 12 days, but you can specify two different regions and create an amazing itinerary in those two regions and see two countries for a great value, right?
Hmm. Yeah, which seeing two countries right now is just sounds amazing. That's really a
Yeah.
great thing. Yeah, and those are all the questions that I had for you. But I want to make sure: is there anything else that we haven't talked about or that you want to include?
No, I think, I just wanted to obviously thank you for the opportunity. Also, just let the agents know, anybody who's listening, that, Portugal and Spain are two amazing destinations. I know that they're probably not as popular as some of the other traditional markets we talked about. But, when your clients are looking for something authentic, something different, you have to think outside the box, right? And that's what we try to do. So the more unique you make an itinerary for your clients, the more they'll thank you, because one of the things we really focus on is on details, including, for example, having the travel agents contact information printed on the menu of a restaurant in Madrid or in Lisbon as the clients are celebrating their anniversary. So when they're eating, they actually know that their travel agent is actually giving them a message with a personalized menu saying, enjoy your anniversary or enjoy your birthday or so much. So I think sometimes we get so lost in the hustle and bustle of sort of, creating itineraries that are like very sort of template like, that we forget those small touches go a long way. And we're here to help, obviously, when possible.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's really cool. That's awesome. And I just want to thank you so much again for sharing your expertise with us here today.
Thank
And I
you.
just want, yeah, and really quick too before I wrap up, I'll put your website in our article, and you can find it in the podcast information. But can you share it really quick for those listening?
Sure. The website is sagresvacations.com. So it's SAGRES vacations.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you all again for tuning into this episode of the Lounge with Travefy Academy. And thank you so much to our special guest, Marco, for joining us here today. But be sure to subscribe to our podcast or subscribe to our YouTube channel for all of the latest episodes. And we hope you enjoyed this conversation today and join us again. But for now, stay safe, and we will catch you on the next flight.